Hello dear friends and welcome to this video. Today we will talk about maybe the most important supplement that's out there, vitamin D. And for example, me myself, I'm from Norway. We have very little sun in the winter months, so vitamin D can be a very important supplement here. But they have shown that all over the world, people are today becoming more and more deficient in vitamin D, maybe also because we have more and more indoor lifestyle. It can also be very important if you, for example, have darker skin and moved, for example, to Norway or a colder country, if you're older, suffering with obesity. So in general, little sun exposure will give you a risk of having vitamin D deficiency. And what is very often recommended, at least in Norway, is that every month that has an R in it, then you take, at least it's like that in the Norwegian system, vitamin D supplement. I mean, of course, if you have a long holiday, you go to Australia, for example, maybe it's not needed, but let's say you stay, for example, in Norway. Yeah? So from September to April, then you would supplement with vitamin D. And of course, always check with your doctor and be sure also that you don't get too much. Too much of anything is also not good, so there is a very important balance. But vitamin D is good for many things, for example, bone health. So for our bones, and osteoporosis can be a big challenge. Vitamin D can be very useful in getting phosphorus and getting kalium to the bones in the body and can help prevent against osteoporosis. So this can be very, very important. Also for your muscles, if people are low in vitamin D, they can suffer, for example, from fatigue. So to have strength, to have energy, to do everything you want, can of course also impact your mood. It can be very important to check your levels or maybe take a supplement for vitamin D as well. And some people also, when they are low in vitamin D, they more easily get sick. We often hear about vitamin C, but many studies show that vitamin D can be even more important, especially getting a cold. And some people, they have very often a cold, and maybe low vitamin D levels can be one of these reasons. So we talked a little bit about it, but mental health in general, you know, if you have fatigue, everything becomes heavier. If you have normal vitamin D levels, this can be much easier. It can also be very helpful when it comes to mental health as well. This is also very important if you're diabetic, but inflammation, vitamin D and normal levels can lower inflammation in the body, which is of course very, very important if you are a diabetic or have any other chronic disease or just in general. You want the inflammation to be as low as possible. It is very, very important. And finally also, for example, for us men, testosterone is very, very important, like B6, which we talked about, very important for women, of course also for men, but here when it comes to vitamin D, we see a direct link to testosterone in the body. So again, here it can be very, very important for also male health in general. And for example, with being a diabetic, there's also very interesting studies that normal vitamin D levels can be very beneficial to fight against neuropathy. So having problems with the nerves because of too high blood sugar. So here also vitamin D can be very, very important. As well, when it comes to vitamin D, it can help the signaling cells when it comes to insulin. So the insulin resistance can become lower if you have normal vitamin D levels. Also something very interesting to check up. So it can help against insulin resistance, which is extremely important. It can help your nerves, very, very important as well. And we talked about the reduction of inflammation, which is always super important if you're diabetic. Your blood sugar will swing a little bit more, be a little bit higher. So it can be very, very important to look into this, and especially if you are one of those people who have a bit higher blood sugar than you should have, it's extra important. There's also been some studies showing that it can help with your fasting blood sugar, so that you will not have so high blood sugar as you would have had if it wasn't for having normal vitamin D levels. So it's of course not a cure, but it can be very, very helpful here. And you have also higher risk of cardiovascular diseases if you're diabetic. And again, having normal vitamin D levels can be very beneficial for things like cholesterol, heart health, blood vessels in general. So vitamin D for normal people is super important to have high, not high, but to have normal levels. And if you're diabetic, it's maybe even more important, or other chronic diseases. So it's something really worth looking into. Maybe especially if you have a very indoor lifestyle, are elderly, or suffer from obesity, or are from a country like mine far, far to the north. Have a wonderful day, enjoy some sun, but not too much. Bye.